Lightning streaked across a darkening sky as Raquel Jennings clutched her hospital bag and stepped into the neon-lit lobby of Westbridge Memorial. She was alone, pain slicing through her body, fear gripping her heart. Yet she moved forward with quiet resolve. Hours earlier, her billionaire husband, Adrian Jennings, had stormed out of their penthouse, intent on chasing the thrill of an affair rather than standing by her side. Now, as thunder rumbled overhead, Raquel faced the looming reality of giving birth on her own. Little did Adrian know that this very night, this single, heartbreaking moment, would shake him to his core and make him reconsider everything he thought mattered. Raquel Jennings was not born into wealth. She grew up in a modest neighborhood in Chicago, the daughter of a history teacher and a postal worker. Her life revolved around library books, second-hand clothes, and big dreams that she never believed impossible. Just distant, she was pragmatic, kind-hearted, and fiercely intelligent. After graduating with a degree in communications, she took a job as an event coordinator for a charitable foundation. It was there that fate brought her face-to-face with Adrian Jennings, the charismatic billionaire heir to the Jennings Enterprises fortune. Adrian was everything she was not: flamboyant, powerful, accustomed to opulence. The tabloids labeled him a tech-savvy genius who had expanded his family's legacy from real estate into cutting-edge AI ventures. He was also famously elusive, refusing any serious relationship despite frequent appearances at high society galas with stunning models on his arm. But to everyone's surprise, especially Raquel's, the two formed an unlikely bond over their shared passion for philanthropy. She admired his forward-thinking approach to solving global issues. He marveled at her empathy and sincerity. Their courtship was swift and intense. Adrian proposed just 6 months after they met, whisking her away to Lake Como for a weekend trip that ended with a sparkling ring and a tearful yes. The media covered their wedding in lavish detail, highlighting Raquel's transition from a common background to the upper echelons of wealth. She became a darling of society pages for her humility and warmth. Yet beneath the fairy tale exterior, cracks began to form. Adrian's ambition knew no limits. He threw himself into multi-billion-dollar acquisitions, extended business trips abroad, and glamorous parties with top executives, celebrities, and potential investors. Meanwhile, Raquel spent her nights worrying at home, longing for the man who once confided in her about changing the world. She believed in giving him space to chase his dreams, never suspecting those business dinners might involve more than just negotiations. Their arguments escalated when Raquel discovered she was pregnant. Adrian had once vowed to start a family, but now he seemed unsettled. "We're so busy," he would say, or "I'm not sure it's the right time for children," or "let's not let this hold us back." Tension brewed, laced with Raquel's disappointment and Adrian's growing aloofness. He never outright admitted to infidelity, but the extended nights away, the perfume-scented shirts, and hushed phone calls suggested something deeper. On the night Raquel's contractions began, she called Adrian repeatedly. He was at some exclusive penthouse party, rumored to be in the company of a wealthy socialite named Bianca Moretti, known for her cunning charm and extravagant lifestyle. Each of Raquel's frantic calls went to voicemail, unanswered. The pangs in her belly sharpened, her breath turned ragged, and fear coiled tight in her stomach. Summoning her courage, she hailed a cab alone, ignoring the flash of paparazzi cameras that occasionally lurked outside her building. By the time she reached Westbridge Memorial, thunder rumbled overhead. Rain pelted the ambulance bay. Anxiety gnawed at her, Would Adrian come? Would she be forced to deliver their child by herself? The paramedics ushered her into a wheelchair, staff quickly moving her to a maternity ward. All the while, she kept her phone clutched in her hand, hoping for a message from Adrian. But her phone remained silent. In that moment, she recognized that the promise of "we'll always face life together" had shattered. The ring on her finger felt heavy, the vow meaningless without Adrian by her side. Her tears blurred the hospital corridor, merging with the harsh overhead lights. She steeled herself, reminding the child within her that they were in this together. Mama is here for you, always, even if the father had chosen to be somewhere else. Outside Westbridge Memorial, the storm intensified. Lightning arced across the sky, illuminating the hospital's facade in brief, ghostly flashes. Inside, nurses in pastel scrubs rushed from room to room, guiding laboring mothers and anxious families. Raquel, clad in a hospital gown, was wheeled into a delivery suite. Her contractions had become more frequent, each one a wave of pain that threatened to overwhelm her. A kind-eyed nurse named Michelle Oberton introduced herself. "I'll be by your side, honey," Michelle said warmly, placing a hand on Raquel's shoulder. Raquel offered a trembling smile in return, grateful for any semblance of comfort. As doctors prepared for the delivery, Raquel gripped her phone, willing it to ring. She dialed Adrian's number again. This time, the call connected, but only for a moment. Through the chaos, she heard loud music, followed by static and a woman's laugh. Then, the line went dead. Tears of betrayal stung her eyes. She'd never felt so alone. In the Jennings penthouse across town, the celebration raged on. Adrian was indeed with Bianca Moretti, a sultry figure in a sequined dress who hung on his arm while they toasted some major business deal. He felt a buzzing in his pocket. Unknown to him, it was Raquel, in labor. Over the throbbing bass and swirling neon lights, he barely noticed the call. Or perhaps a part of him chose not to notice. Guilt pricked at his conscience every time he saw Raquel's name on his screen, so ignoring the ring became a habit. He drowned his remorse in expensive champagne, letting Bianca's compliments stroke his ego. Back at the hospital, Raquel's labor progressed swiftly. Each contraction felt like being torn in two, yet she refused heavy medication, determined to remain lucid for her baby's arrival. The memory of her father's gentle encouragement played in her mind. "Stay strong, sweetheart. Life's storms are temporary." That was what he had always told her when she faced adversity as a child. And now, this was the greatest storm of her life. Around midnight, the city's power grid flickered under the strain of the storm. The lights in the corridor momentarily dimmed. Emergency generators kicked in, bathing the ward in a soft, humming glow. Michelle Oberton and the obstetrician, Dr. Leah Carter, reassured Raquel they'd handle any complications. She nodded through the haze of pain, her hair matted to her forehead with sweat. Despite the heartbreak, Raquel found solace in the miraculous process unfolding. She was about to become a mother, a guardian to a new life. The idea emboldened her. "I'll do anything for you, little one," she thought, tears mixing with perspiration. "I don't need him if he won't be here. We'll be okay." The hours blurred. Nurses and doctors came and went, their voices a comforting murmur. Finally, near the cusp of dawn, Raquel felt the irresistible urge to push. Gritting her teeth, she followed Dr. Carter's instructions. It was an excruciating, all-consuming effort, but one fueled by a fierce love. With one final push, she heard the tiny, plaintive cry of her baby, a sound that shattered her heart and rebuilt it all at once. Exhausted, tears streaming, She looked down as the nurse placed a fragile newborn in her arms. The baby's features were scrunched in complaint at the sudden brightness. A rush of emotion overwhelmed Raquel. She half expected Adrian to burst through the door at that exact moment, realize his mistake, and fall to his knees with regret. But the door remained closed. There was only the hush of the hospital and her child's gentle whimper. She pressed her lips to the baby's damp forehead, whispering a vow, "I promise I'll love you enough for both of us." And for the first time that night, despite the swirling storm and the heartbreak, Raquel felt a fierce surge of hope. The next morning dawned grey and hazy, the storm clouds lingering like an unwelcome guest. Adrian Jennings woke with a pounding headache, his mind fuzzy from too many flutes of champagne. He found himself sprawled on a leather chaise in the corner of the penthouse's lounge, the aftermath of the party strewn around him. Empty bottles, half-eaten canapes, and confetti scattering the floor. Bianca Moretti stirred on a nearby sofa, eyeing Adrian with a smirk. She rose gracefully, though her hair was disheveled. "Morning, handsome," she purred, but Adrian barely acknowledged her. His eyes flicked to the clock on the mantel, 8:12 a.m. A gnawing sense of dread coiled in his gut. Raquel. He'd had a momentary fuzzy memory of her calls last night. His phone was nowhere in sight. Bianca, sensing his distraction, pouted. "Don't tell me you're running back to your little wife." The words, laced with jealousy and scorn, struck a nerve. Adrian mumbled something incoherent, pushing past her as he searched for his phone amid the clutter. He finally found it in the kitchen, face down on the marble counter. The screen displayed multiple missed calls from Raquel, plus messages from an unknown number. "Raquel is in labor. Where are you? And call Westbridge Memorial immediately." His blood ran cold. Stomach churning, he scrolled further, seeing a final text from Nurse Michelle Overton. "She delivered around 5 a.m., mother and baby stable. She's been asking for you." A wave of panic crashed over him. He had missed the birth of his child. The child he'd once promised Raquel he was ready for, despite his doubts. Suddenly, Bianca's presence felt suffocating. The entire night, a nightmare of self-indulgence. "I have to go," he muttered, grabbing his jacket. Bianca smirked, leaning against the kitchen island. "Sure, go be a hero, but don't expect everything to be forgiven so easily." She added a sultry laugh that rang hollow to his ears. Adrian didn't respond. He bolted out the door, adrenaline pumping. The drive to Westbridge Memorial was a blur. He sped through the wet streets, ignoring honking cars, cursing himself for letting his life spiral into reckless partying. Anxiety gnawed at him. How could I let this happen? What if Raquel hates me now? What about my child? By the time he reached the hospital, his shirt was wrinkled and his eyes bloodshot. The bright fluorescent corridors felt jarring compared to the gloom of his regrets. He raced to the maternity ward, heart pounding, breath ragged. A nurse recognized him. "Mr. Jennings?" she asked. Adrian nodded frantically. "Your wife is in room 342. She delivered a healthy baby a few hours ago." Relief clashed with shame as he took that in. The nurse's tone hinted at disapproval, and he couldn't blame her. Steeling himself, he moved down the corridor, each footstep echoing with guilt. Pausing outside the door, he clenched his fists. He wasn't ready to face Raquel's anger or heartbreak, but he had no choice. "I can't undo last night, but I can show up now," he told himself, though his confidence wavered. With a shaky exhale, he pushed the door open. Inside, Raquel lay in bed, looking exhausted but radiant in a postpartum glow. Her eyes lifted to meet his, a swirl of emotion there. Hurt, anger, relief, exhaustion. In her arms, a tiny bundle stirred, a single cry, breaking the silence. Adrian froze, swallowing hard. This was the moment he'd missed, the child's first breath, the miracle he should have witnessed. And now, all he had was regret. Adrian hovered in the doorway, an observer in his own family's reality. Raquel stared at him, silent, as the newborn let out a soft whimper. He took a hesitant step forward, but she turned her gaze down to the child, shielding the baby from his approach. That subtle movement cut deeper than any words. "Raquel," he began, voice hoarse, "I'm so sorry. Are you both okay?" She didn't answer immediately. The tension in the room crackled. Finally, she spoke, her tone brittle with exhaustion. "We're fine. Thanks to the nurses and doctors who were actually here." Each syllable stung him like a wasp. He took another step forward. I got the messages too late. I was drunk. I messed up." The paltry excuses felt heavier in the air than he intended. Raquel's eyes flashed with anger. "You were with her, weren't you, Bianca Moretti? The tabloids have been buzzing for weeks, but I never wanted to believe it." Her breathing was unsteady, likely from a mix of postpartum fatigue and emotional turmoil. Adrian raked a hand through his hair, guilt churning. "Raquel, it's complicated. Nothing physical. I mean, it was just... I was fooling myself. She was just a distraction." "A distraction from what? Me? Our child?" Raquel's voice trembled, tears threatening to spill. "You vowed to be here for us. Instead, you left me to give birth alone." Adrian's heart hammered. He dared to glance at the baby, who was fussing quietly in Raquel's arms. The tiny face was a perfect blend of them both. Soft cheeks, a tuft of dark hair. Something in him shifted at that sight, a feeling he'd never experienced before. Raw, unfiltered love, and a deep sense of shame. Tentatively, he inched closer. "May I hold them?" he whispered, not even sure of the baby's gender or name because he'd missed it all. Raquel hesitated. She looked at him, the hurt in her eyes palpable. Then, with a sigh that carried both resignation and longing for a father's presence in the child's life, she gently transferred the baby into his arms. Adrian cradled the newborn, hands trembling. The infant's eyes flickered open, a swirl of innocence gazing at him. A lump rose in his throat. "It's a girl," Raquel murmured, voice softening as she watched him. "Born at 5:07 a.m. I named her Ava." "Ava," he repeated, heart clenching. The baby's warmth against his chest felt almost sacred. He couldn't stop his tears from forming. "She's perfect." For a brief moment, the two parents shared a fragile truce, united by awe for their new daughter. But reality intruded fast. Raquel's expression hardened. "Hold her carefully," she said, her tone layered with frustration. "Because I won't let you hurt her the way you hurt me." Adrian looked down at Ava, blinking back tears. He'd never felt so ashamed. How could he claim to be a father now, after missing the most important moment of her life? "I won't. I promise," he whispered, voice cracking. "I'll do anything to make this right. For both of you." Raquel reached out, taking the baby back into her protective embrace. She eyed him warily. "You have a long road to prove that, Adrian. Don't expect me to believe your words. Not after everything you've done." The hush that followed was heavier than any argument. Adrian felt that hush press down on him, reminding him that no wealth or power could fix what was broken. Only time, honesty, and unwavering commitment might mend it, if at all. The day stretched on, filled with postpartum checkups, visits from hospital staff, and Raquel's occasional attempts to rest. Adrian remained in the room, though he felt he had no right to. Every time he inched closer to Raquel or baby Ava, a wall of hurt and distrust blocked him. Yet leaving seemed worse, an admission that he was incapable of standing by his family. So he lingered, offering water, fresh pillows, or any small gesture that might help. Late afternoon brought a visitor. Michelle Overton, the nurse who had witnessed Raquel's lonely labor, appeared with a gentle knock. She carried a small bouquet of lilies. "How's our new mother doing?" Michelle asked kindly, placing the flowers on a bedside table. Raquel managed a tired smile. "We're adjusting. Thank you for everything last night." Michelle nodded, then shot Adrian a guarded glance. She recognized him from his frantic arrival that morning. "I'll give you some privacy," she said, stepping out discreetly. Adrian felt the nurse's unspoken judgment as tangibly as the stale hospital air. Outside, journalists and paparazzi swarmed the hospital entrance, hungering for a glimpse of the Jennings baby. Adrian's father had been a prominent figure in the business world, and any news about the Jennings heir was headline-worthy. Raquel, however, refused to have cameras near her child. She had security inform the press that she and the baby needed rest, but there was no guarantee they'd back off. Adrian's phone vibrated incessantly with calls from his PR team, demanding statements and clarifications about the birth. He ignored them, focusing on Raquel and Ava. In the quiet corners of the hospital, whirring machines and hushed voices reminded Adrian of how fragile life was. He recalled meeting Raquel at a charity function for orphans in Eastern Europe. How passionately she'd spoken about children's well-being. He'd been enamored by her sincerity, and yet over time he'd let ambition and desire for excitement overshadow that purity. How did I become this man, he wondered. A phone call eventually broke the silence. Bianca Moretti. The name flashing on the screen made Adrian's stomach twist. He declined it without hesitation. Raquel noticed the movement, her eyes narrowing. "Go ahead. Answer. Isn't that your priority?" she asked bitterly. "No," Adrian said firmly, setting his phone aside. "I'm done with that. I swear." Silence. Raquel's gaze dropped to Ava, who slept peacefully in her arms. "Is it over with her? For real?" He nodded. "Yes. I was lost. Bianca was an escape from the pressures I felt. But it's no excuse. I never meant to betray you like this." Raquel let out a trembling breath. "You didn't just betray me. You betrayed everything we believed in, every vow we took. You left me to face the scariest moment of my life alone." Adrian couldn't find words to justify himself. Instead, he whispered, "I regret it, more than you can know." Tension thickened in the room. Then baby Ava stirred, letting out a soft cry. Instinctively, Raquel soothed the newborn, pressing her close. Adrian's heart twisted at the sight, both longing to hold his daughter and acutely aware of how unworthy he was. "I need time, Adrian," Raquel murmured, rocking the infant. "Don't pressure me into forgiveness. Right now, all I care about is my baby's health. You can stay, but keep your distance unless I ask. Understand?" He nodded, voice hoarse. "Yes, of course." A nurse stepped in with postpartum advice and infant care instructions. Adrian stood aside, feeling like an intruder in a scene that should have been joyous. He yearned to turn back the clock, to hold Raquel's hand through labor, to witness Ava's first cry in real time. But regret was a currency that couldn't buy a second chance. All he could do was remain, burdened by his own remorse, hoping that one day his presence might help rather than hurt. News of Ava Jennings's birth spread like wildfire. Within hours, media outlets headlined the secret hospital visit of billionaire Adrian Jennings. Speculative articles dissected Raquel's background, rehashing her rags-to-riches story. Some tabloids even hinted at Adrian's rumored affair with Bianca Moretti, framing the newborn's arrival as a potential catalyst for scandal. Paparazzi camped outside Westbridge Memorial day and night, snapping any figure who remotely resembled Adrian or Raquel. Inside the hospital, staff made every effort to shield the new mother and baby from the frenzy. Security personnel roamed the halls, turning away unauthorized visitors. A sense of claustrophobia crept in on Raquel. All she wanted was some peace to bond with her daughter and nurse her in quiet. But flashing cameras and invasive questions loomed whenever she stepped near a window. Adrian, too, felt the media's suffocating presence. He fielded calls from his PR manager, who insisted on releasing an official statement. "You can't keep silent," the manager insisted over the phone. "The investors want reassurance that your personal life won't destabilize Jennings Enterprises. People are worried about your mental state." He sighed, leaning against a vending machine in the hospital corridor. "I'll craft something soon. Right now, my priority is my daughter." "Make it soon," the manager urged. "We can't let rumors about your affair overshadow this moment." Hanging up, Adrian stared at the vending machine's neon glow. It hit him. The image he'd cultivated for years as a savvy entrepreneur, philanthropic wunderkind, and rising star was crumbling beneath the weight of one moral failing. "What good is success if my personal life is in shambles?" he thought bitterly. When he returned to Raquel's room, he found her scrolling through her phone, her expression grim. She looked up, eyes brimming with tears. "They're calling me the naive wife who was replaced by a more glamorous mistress," she said, voice shaky. "Why can't they just let me heal in peace?" Adrian's jaw clenched. "I'll handle it. I'll release a statement, clarifying everything. No mention of Bianca, no mention of a scandal. Just truth about you and Ava." She flung her phone onto the sheets. "And what is the truth, Adrian? That you left me alone in labor because you were out partying with another woman? Or do you plan to spin it into something noble?" Her tone dripped with sarcasm. He rubbed his temples, regret hammering him. "I'll never be able to spin it into something good. But maybe I can protect you from the worst of it. Let me try." Raquel swallowed hard, her exhaustion evident. "Do what you must, but don't pretend I'm okay with any of this. My priority is Ava's well-being. If your statement helps keep paparazzi from hounding us, fine, but don't expect me to lie for you." A moment of silence weighed between them. He studied the dark circles under her eyes, the slump of her shoulders. Her postpartum state was taxing enough without a media circus swirling. He gently reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Please," she whispered, tears spilling over. "I need space." He withdrew, nodding. In that moment, he recognized how alien he'd become to her. They once shared laughter and midnight confessions. Now, the only thing connecting them was a beautiful baby girl and the memory of what might have been. Adrian left the room quietly, determined to craft a statement that at least shielded Raquel from further pain, if not himself. Adrian issued a brief public statement within hours. It read, "I, Adrian Jennings, am pleased to announce the birth of my daughter Ava. My wife Raquel is recovering well. We request privacy as we welcome this new chapter of our family life." He avoided any mention of Bianca Moretti or personal failings. The tabloids, starved for scandal, read between the lines, publishing side-by-side articles that hinted at marital strife and a possible reconciliation or separation on the horizon. While the statement dampened some of the media frenzy, it did little to soothe Raquel's bruised soul. She spent 2 more days in the hospital, healing. Adrian lingered in the background, assisting in small ways, bringing fresh clothes, dealing with security so she could rest. Yet each time he tried to talk, she either closed her eyes or feigned interest in the baby, effectively shutting him out. Upon discharge, Raquel insisted on returning to their penthouse because it was legally as much her home as his. Adrian worried it might be too stressful for her, but she insisted, wanting Ava to have a stable environment. So, they rode the elevator up to the marble-floored foyer that had once felt like a dream to her. Now, it was a gilded cage filled with bitter memories. The household staff offered hushed congratulations, avoiding direct eye contact. Rumors of Adrian's betrayal had circulated among them, creating a tense atmosphere. Raquel thanked them politely, holding Ava close. Exhausted from the car ride, she retired to the master bedroom, one that she and Adrian used to share. Adrian, sensing her desire for solitude, moved his belongings to a guest suite. That evening, after Ava finally fell asleep, Raquel sat on the plush bed, her mind racing. She recalled a simpler time, back when Adrian would surprise her with candlelit dinners or whisk her away to a cozy cabin in the mountains. She had believed in his love wholeheartedly. Now, that trust lay in pieces. Tears slipped down her cheeks. All she had left was a mother's fierce resolve to protect her daughter. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Adrian peeked in, wearing a contrite expression. "Raquel, can we talk?" She exhaled, too tired to fight. "Fine, just keep your voice down. Ava's asleep." He stepped inside, eyes drifting to the sleeping infant in the cradle. A tender look crossed his face before he turned back to Raquel. "I know I don't deserve your time, but I need you to understand. I love Ava, and I love you." She folded her arms, bracing herself. "You have a strange way of showing it." He flinched. "I've been a fool. I got caught up in deals, events, empty thrills. Bianca, she was never important. Just an illusion that fed my ego." He swallowed, voice trembling with regret. "I want to fix this. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Therapy, stepping down from some business responsibilities, a vow to never see Bianca again. Anything to earn your forgiveness." Raquel studied him, her eyes glossy with unshed tears. "Adrian, words aren't enough. You missed the birth of your child. That moment will never come again." Her voice cracked. "Do you know how alone and scared I felt in that hospital? Thinking you'd choose me and your child over any fling, but you didn't." A tear slid down Adrian's cheek, his composure crumbling. "I know, and it tears me apart. Please, just give me a chance to show you I can be better." Silence stretched, punctuated by the soft hum of the air conditioning. Finally, Raquel sighed. "I won't promise anything. We can start with you stepping up for Ava. Diaper changes, late-night feedings, pediatric visits. If you truly care, prove it by being a real father." He nodded vigorously, relief washing over him. "I will. Thank you." She turned away, her voice quivering. "Don't thank me yet, Adrian. This is for Ava's sake. As for us, that's something else entirely." In the days that followed, Adrian attempted to fulfill his pledge to become a hands-on father. He woke at odd hours to feed Ava expressed breast milk in a bottle, learning how to cradle her tiny form and soothe her wails. At first, he was clumsy, accidentally mixing formula too hot, fumbling with diapers. But each mistake only fueled his determination to improve. He discovered a profound sense of peace in late-night moments, holding Ava against his chest as she dozed. Raquel watched these efforts from a cautious distance. Part of her admired Adrian's newfound dedication. He seemed almost unrecognizable from the arrogant socialite who once strutted out at midnight to attend exclusive parties. But her heart remained guarded, each warm emotion met by the memory of giving birth alone. Meanwhile, the outside world refused to let them quietly mend. Paparazzi clamored for updates, and gossip columns speculated about the stability of their marriage. Bianca Moretti, stung by Adrian's sudden severance, gave cryptic interviews hinting that she had damaging knowledge about Jennings' enterprises. Lawyers for the Jennings family scrambled to quell potential leaks, further straining the couple's relationship under the weight of scandal. One morning, as Raquel finished nursing Ava, she found Adrian pacing near the floor-to-ceiling windows with his phone pressed to his ear. His tone was tense. "No, we can't just pay her off again," he said, exasperated. "She wants attention, not just money. We need a different strategy." Sighing, he ended the call, turning to see Raquel's troubled gaze. "Is it Bianca?" she asked flatly. He nodded. "She's threatening to go public with allegations, some about our private life, some about business deals she overheard. My legal team is on it, but it's messy." Raquel steadied herself. "I don't want to be part of your PR fiasco. If she leaks details of your affair, so be it. I'm done protecting your reputation." Adrian winced. "I understand. I'm not asking you to shield me, but her claims could impact Ava's future. I'm worried about the negativity that might surround us, the rumors, the legal battles. I'm trying to contain the damage." Raquel rocked Ava gently, the baby's eyes fluttering. "You should have thought about that before. Now, all we can do is be honest. If the world sees the truth, maybe it'll push you to keep your word. No more illusions." He approached, glancing at the baby with a hopeful smile. "I'm prepared to face consequences. My main focus is you two. I want to be a family again." She swallowed hard. "A family isn't just about you wanting it. It's about trust, day in and day out. That trust is shattered." He stared at Ava's tiny hands and then back at Raquel. "I'm not giving up." The sincerity in his eyes was clear, yet the hurt between them remained a formidable barrier. Just then, the penthouse elevator dinged, announcing the arrival of Adrian's mother, Vivian Jennings, a regal woman known for her philanthropic work. She stepped out, her posture stiff with worry, carrying a gift basket brimming with baby essentials. "I heard about the chaos," Vivian said softly, crossing to Raquel and pressing a kiss to her cheek. She then turned to the baby, her eyes filling with warmth. "She's beautiful. You must be exhausted, dear." Raquel nodded politely, and Adrian stepped aside, letting his mother fawn over her granddaughter. The tension in the room lessened a fraction, overshadowed by Vivian's calm presence. But even as love and support trickled in, the question lingered. Could Adrian truly redeem himself? The cradle might be full of fresh blankets and plush toys, and the staff might cater to every postpartum need, but no one could buy back the moment he abandoned Raquel at her most vulnerable. Only time and unwavering consistency would reveal if fatherhood would be Adrian's saving grace, or just another fleeting facade. Tensions simmered in the Jennings boardroom, weeks after Ava's birth. Adrian, still rattled by the scandal, struggled to focus on company affairs. Rumors swirled among top executives that the scandal involving Bianca Moretti could trigger a shareholder crisis. Jennings Enterprises, built on a foundation of trust and family values, now faced scrutiny from investors uneasy about the CEO's personal entanglements. During a pivotal meeting, Adrian's mother, Vivian Jennings, attended as a special advisor. She'd once chaired philanthropic endeavors for the company and remained an influential figure. Several board members eyed Adrian skeptically as he presented a new AI project. Although brilliant, his credibility had been tarnished. As the meeting progressed, it became clear that a faction of board members favored a temporary leadership shift until Adrian's personal drama blew over. Vivian stood, commanding attention, with her regal composure. "I understand the concerns, but remember that Jennings Enterprises has weathered storms before. My son is committed to rectifying his mistakes. However, we also need to ensure stability for our stakeholders. A possible solution might involve naming an interim COO who can share responsibilities, so Adrian can focus on clearing these personal matters." Adrian stiffened. He'd expected pushback, but the suggestion that he needed help stung his pride. Still, he caught sight of a photo on the wall, a portrait of his late father holding him as a child. The memory of fatherhood reminded him of the new chapter he'd begun with Ava. Perhaps a step back was necessary for the sake of both his company and his family. After the meeting, Vivian approached him privately. "I'm proud of how you've been caring for Raquel and Ava," she said gently. "But your employees need unwavering leadership. If this scandal escalates, your personal brand could hurt our stock. Consider a co-leadership model temporarily." Adrian sighed, massaging his temples. "I never wanted to share control, but you're right. I can't let my mess drag everyone down. If stepping aside for a while helps the company, I'll do it." That evening, he returned to the penthouse, exhausted. Raquel was in the nursery, softly singing to Ava. The moment melted some of his tension, reminding him that the world outside these walls mattered less than this small family. If only he could keep them together. He cleared his throat gently, not to startle her. "Hey." She glanced over her shoulder. "Hey, you look tired." He managed a thin smile. "Board meetings are draining. They're suggesting I scale back my role. Seems the shareholders are nervous about me." Raquel's expression was unreadable. "I'm not surprised. You've been distracted by everything." He nodded, stepping closer to the crib. "I think I'll do it. Accept a co-leadership arrangement. It'll free me to focus on you and Ava." For a fleeting moment, Raquel's eyes softened, maybe even in gratitude. "That's a step in the right direction. But I don't want you giving up your ambitions. Just handle them responsibly." His heart warmed at her concern, small as it was. "I will," he promised, gently brushing Ava's cheek with the back of his finger. "I'm learning what truly matters." In that hush, they shared an unspoken understanding. If Adrian could prove his sincerity by balancing fatherhood and corporate duties responsibly, perhaps the rift between them might mend. But for now, the power shifts at Jennings Enterprises mirrored the uncertain state of their marriage, both in flux, both searching for stable ground. Despite Adrian's efforts to stabilize his personal and professional life, Bianca Moretti was not one to exit quietly. Resentful and emboldened by tabloids craving sensational headlines, she arranged a press conference in a swanky hotel suite downtown. Rumors teased that she'd reveal incriminating details about Adrian's alleged misconduct, both personal and financial. When the news broke, Jennings Enterprises' stock dipped almost instantly. Adrian's phone lit up with panicked messages from board members. Meanwhile, Raquel read the article in the morning's newspaper and felt a surge of dread. The headline teased, "Bianca Moretti speaks out. The truth behind Adrian Jennings's betrayal. That evening, Adrian paced the penthouse living room, phone in hand, calling attorneys and PR managers. Raquel sat on the couch, holding a drowsy Ava. The tension in the air was palpable. She was torn between wanting to distance herself from the scandal and a quiet, lingering urge to protect Adrian for the sake of their child's future. Vivian Jennings joined them, stepping off the private elevator in a swirl of perfume and concern. "I just spoke with a friend in the media," she announced. "Bianca's threatening to show photos from that night, possibly texts implying you gave her insider information on business moves." Adrian cursed under his breath. "Insider trading? That's insane. I'd never jeopardize the company like that. She's lying." Vivian arched a brow. "Maybe, but the damage from accusations alone could be enough to cause a crisis. We must discredit her claims swiftly." Raquel, feeling dread coil in her stomach, stood. I can't live in constant scandal. What if she drags me into this? Claims something about me or Ava?" Adrian approached, voice urgent. "I won't let that happen. I'll hold a counter-press conference, address any accusations head-on. I'll produce financial records that prove no insider leaks took place. As for her personal claims, I'll come clean about my lapse in judgment. There's no sense hiding." The moment was surreal, the idea of publicly confessing wrongdoing to quell a scandal. But Adrian was left with no choice. If Bianca's allegations gained traction, he could face legal repercussions and lose the company. More importantly, it might forever stain the future he hoped to rebuild with Raquel and Ava. The next day, as Bianca's press conference loomed, the Jennings PR team organized a live broadcast from the Jennings Enterprises headquarters. Cameras set up in the main atrium. Employees whispered anxiously. Adrian stood at a podium, flanked by lawyers. His mother, Vivian, hovered discreetly in the back. Raquel watched from home, cradling Ava in her arms, her heart pounding for what he might say. At noon, Bianca Moretti stepped on stage at a ritzy hotel, delivering dramatic monologues about Adrian's false promises and hinting at financial improprieties. The press devoured every word. But halfway through, a producer switched the live stream to Adrian's simultaneous statement. His face was pale, but resolute. "I acknowledge a personal failing," he said, voice steady into the microphone. "I engaged in an inappropriate relationship with Ms. Moretti. I regret deeply the pain this caused my wife, Raquel, and the potential harm to my company. However, any claims of insider trading or illegal financial practices are baseless lies. Today, our attorneys will present evidence that Ms. Moretti never had access to sensitive data, nor was any leaked to her." He paused, swallowing hard. "I betrayed my marriage, but I won't betray the trust of our shareholders or the integrity of my daughter's future. That is where I draw the line." His words, raw and direct, stunned the media. The Q&A session crackled with tension, but Adrian maintained composure. Meanwhile, Bianca's press event faltered. Reporters switched channels or demanded she show proof, which she lacked. Her dramatic claims fizzled, overshadowed by Adrian's confessional honesty and the organized data Jennings Enterprises presented. At home, Raquel watched, tears streaking her cheeks. She felt a complicated surge of emotions, anger at being publicly humiliated, yet also a hesitant admiration for Adrian's bravery in facing it head-on. She pressed a soft kiss to Ava's forehead, murmuring, "Maybe he's starting to understand." The fallout from the dueling press conferences was swift. Bianca Moretti's credibility collapsed as no tangible evidence supported her accusations of insider trading. Though she managed to spin the story into a woe-is-me narrative about heartbreak, the corporate scandal angle fizzled. Reporters diverted attention to Adrian Jennings's public contrition and the revelations about his affair, effectively turning Bianca from a cunning villain into a footnote in a messy love triangle. Jennings Enterprises stock stabilized once the board affirmed there was no legal wrongdoing. Shareholders, initially restless, appreciated Adrian's willingness to be transparent. Still, the entire ordeal left a stain on the Jennings brand. Adrian recognized that trust, both publicly and privately, wouldn't be rebuilt overnight. In the penthouse, life settled into a cautious routine. Adrian stepped back from day-to-day operations, letting the interim COO handle business expansions. He devoted more time to fatherhood, learning to swaddle Ava and hum lullabies that sometimes ended off-key. Raquel allowed him these moments, observing from a distance. Her heart remained bruised, but each time she saw him cradle their daughter with genuine warmth, a small piece of her bitterness chipped away. One evening, after Ava had finally drifted to sleep, Raquel emerged from the nursery to find Adrian sitting on the living room sofa, staring at an old photo album. It contained pictures from their early days, dates at small bistros, philanthropic galas where they first locked eyes. She hesitated in the hallway, memories flooding back. He looked up, noticing her. "I was remembering how simple things were," he said quietly, "before I let everything spiral out of control." She inched forward. "I never cared about wealth or prestige, Adrian. I cared about you, but you kept chasing more, like you couldn't be satisfied." He closed the album, eyes glistening. "I wish I had realized sooner how ephemeral those thrills were. I can't take back missing Ava's birth. It's a regret I'll carry forever." Raquel sighed, easing onto the couch's edge, maintaining space. "I appreciate how you handled Bianca's claims. Coming clean publicly, it was brave." He nodded. "It might not fix everything, but I want you to know I'm committed to doing the right thing from now on. For you, for Ava." The hush between them felt loaded with possibility. Raquel fiddled with the hem of her shirt. I still need time. My trust in you is broken, but I see you trying, and that means something." Relief flickered in his eyes. "I won't push. If you prefer separate rooms, separate finances, anything, just tell me. I'll respect it." Her gaze fell on a framed wedding photo at the mantel, a beaming bride and groom, naive and full of hope. The vow they made, in good times and bad, echoed in her mind. Perhaps they were in the bad part now, but maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward. "I'm not ready to share a bed with you," she admitted softly, "but we can try couples therapy. We can see if there's anything left to salvage." A spark of hope lit Adrian's expression. "Anything you need, I'll do it." In that quiet, late-night moment, a fragile accord was struck. They would begin the slow process of healing, step by step, uncertain but willing. The consequences of Adrian's betrayal would never vanish entirely. Yet for the sake of a small child who deserved a loving home, they'd attempt to rebuild. Whether it would end in complete reconciliation or a peaceful co-parenting arrangement remained unknown, but both were prepared to at least search for forgiveness. Adrian and Raquel began attending couples therapy once a week, sneaking in through a discreet side entrance at Dr. Melinda Campbell's practice. The sessions were raw and sometimes painful, Raquel's tears, Adrian's confessions. They learned to communicate feelings they'd long buried, her fear of being overshadowed by wealth, his anxiety over never being enough, despite success. Outside therapy, Adrian continued proving his commitment. He woke early to help Raquel prepare Ava's bottles, read parenting books, and navigated fatherhood mishaps like a comedic novice. Raquel still struggled with nightmares of that lonely night in the hospital, but seeing Adrian's unwavering presence day after day chipped away at her resentment. One Sunday, as the city teemed with mid-morning bustle, they ventured out for a walk in Central Park, the first family outing since Ava's birth. Adrian donned a baseball cap and sunglasses, hoping to ward off paparazzi. Raquel carried Ava in a snug wrap, the baby's sleepy eyes peeking out occasionally. The park was bright with greenery, and joggers and families passed by, some recognizing them with subtle double takes. Raquel felt a knot of tension in her stomach, expecting a paparazzo to pop out at any moment. But after a while, she realized no one was intruding. She relaxed a fraction, letting the mild spring air fill her lungs. They found a quiet bench near the lake. Adrian gently reached for Raquel's hand. She hesitated, then allowed it, lacing her fingers through his. The gesture felt both nostalgic and new, a tentative bridging of distance. "She has your eyes," Adrian remarked, smiling at Ava, who cooed softly. Raquel's lips curved into a small smile. "She has your nose." They fell into silence, content to watch the sunlight glimmer on the water. For the first time since the birth, a flicker of normalcy warmed Raquel's heart. Adrian read her expression and squeezed her hand gently. "I made a formal request to transfer part of my shares into a trust for Ava," he said. "That way, she's financially secure, no matter what happens between us." Raquel looked at him, eyes reflecting gratitude. "You didn't have to—" "I did," he interrupted, voice firm. "I want you both to know I'm not going anywhere. If we end up separated, or if you want nothing more to do with me, Ava's future is still stable. And if someday you decide to let me back in fully—" He stopped, uncertain how to continue without sounding pushy. Raquel felt the weight of his sincerity. "Thank you," she whispered, blinking back tears. She didn't have the energy to promise him a romantic future, but she recognized the depth of his atonement. He was no longer making empty promises. He was backing them up with tangible actions. They strolled further, occasionally pausing when passers-by cooed over baby Ava. Adrian had never known such domestic contentment, even if it was fragile. Each step with them felt like a gift. He still wrestled with guilt at night, recalling the moment Raquel dialed his number in vain. But each morning, he rose determined to be better. A father who would never abandon his child, a husband who might one day earn redemption. That evening, as they returned home, they prepared dinner together for the first time in months. Ava dozed in a bassinet, lulled by soft background music. Raquel and Adrian found themselves laughing over an accidental flour spill, their voices echoing in a kitchen once filled with tension. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress, and that for now felt like the greatest victory they could hope for. Months passed, carrying them from the chaos of Ava's birth into a calmer, though still delicate routine. With therapy guiding them, Adrian and Raquel navigated challenges and triggers, each confrontation a chance to test the fragile trust they were rebuilding. Adrian stepped fully into fatherhood, balancing corporate duties with paternal tasks, night feedings, lullabies, doctor appointments. Raquel admired his dedication, but remained cautious. She'd seen how quickly ambition and temptation could sway him. Bianca Moretti, meanwhile, receded from public view. A small settlement and public disinterest curbed her attempts to stoke scandal. Jennings Enterprises found its footing under co-leadership. Profits stabilized, and the philanthropic ventures continued, something Raquel passionately supported. She occasionally helped plan charitable events, proud to see Adrian championing causes that aligned with their early dreams. One crisp autumn morning, they prepared for a press conference announcing a new initiative, a scholarship fund in Ava's name for children from underprivileged backgrounds. Raquel would attend to represent the philanthropic side, while Adrian would speak on behalf of the family. The gesture symbolized not only their commitment to charity, but also a public statement of unity. In the penthouse living room, Ava babbled happily in a high chair. Raquel, dressed in a simple yet elegant navy sheath, tucked a shawl around the baby. Adrian adjusted his tie, nerves dancing. "Feels surreal," he confessed. "I used to see press conferences as purely business. Now it's personal, representing our child's future, our marriage, everything." Raquel nodded, heart pounding. "I still have reservations about being in the spotlight, but if this helps more children get opportunities, it's worth it." They shared a small, genuine smile. Then carefully, they made their way to the elevator. The event took place in a grand ballroom of a 5-star hotel. A small media crowd awaited them, though not nearly as large as the scandal press conferences months ago. This time, the tone was positive, an announcement of hope and giving rather than damage control. Adrian stood at the podium, clearing his throat. Raquel held Ava in her arms, slightly off to the side. He spoke with measured conviction about the scholarship's purpose, the importance of family, and learning from one's mistakes. When he concluded, he introduced Raquel, who shared a heartfelt reflection about the significance of nurturing children's potential. The applause that followed felt authentic, untainted by scandal. Afterward, a few reporters asked polite questions, mostly about the scholarship details. One, however, asked Raquel about her marriage. She glanced at Adrian, then back at the journalist. "We're taking it day by day," she replied. "Our focus right now is on raising Ava with love and ensuring a better future for children who need it." The response ended further prying. The event concluded on a warm note, with many praising the couple's philanthropic spirit. Later at home, Raquel felt an unexpected lightness. She set Ava in her crib for a nap, then stepped into the living area where Adrian stood near the window, gazing out at the city. He turned to her. "You were amazing," he murmured. She nodded, crossing her arms. "Thank you for not turning it into a publicity stunt. It felt genuine." They locked eyes, the distance between them a hair's breadth. Slowly, Adrian reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. "I know I've said sorry countless times," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. "But I'll say it again. Thank you for giving me a chance to be a part of your life, and Ava's." Raquel's throat tightened, tears glistening. She placed a hand on his cheek, a cautious yet affectionate gesture. "I'm still healing, but I see how much you've changed. And I want us to be whole again, if possible." In that moment, the city's bustling streets stretched far below them, the skyline shimmering in the afternoon sun. Within the penthouse, Adrian and Raquel stood on the precipice of a new beginning. The scars of betrayal would linger, yes, but love and forgiveness had begun to weave their fragile tapestry. And nestled in her crib, baby Ava slept on, oblivious to the complicated drama that had preceded her birth, secure in the love that had finally found its footing. Thank you for following the emotional journey in Wife Gave Birth, Alone in Hospital, Cheating Billionaire Husband, Regretted It After Seeing the Child. This story highlights how heartbreak, infidelity, and family pressures can collide with unexpected force. It also reminds us that redemption, while hard-won, may be possible when honesty and love prevail. Raquel's inner strength allowed her to survive the ultimate betrayal, giving birth alone, while Adrian's awakening shows even power and wealth cannot replace genuine remorse and active steps toward healing. Their story is a testament to the complicated paths of forgiveness, the fierce protection a mother has for her child, and the promise that real change can emerge from life's darkest moments. If this dramatic tale moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more gripping stories about love, loss, and the resilience of the human spirit. We thank you for watching and hope you'll stay tuned for more powerful narratives that dive deep into heartache, hope, and the victories found along the way. Until next time, take care. And remember, every end can lead to a new beginning.